that bad. So thank you that you're prepared to have me come back and speak again today. And yes, I do lead a very busy life, and it comes with all sorts of feelings of fraught and being torn and having to be organised with your time and with your talents and what you do. And last week, once a month, I set aside a whole day and I spend the day with God. I go away from the house, because I know if I'm at home, I'll think, well, I'll just do the dishes, or I'll just peg out the washing, or if the house is untidy, I can't focus. So I start tidying around. So I have to get out of the house. I take a Bible and a notepad, and that's all I do. Is that not working?
It is, but
I'm too far away, am I?
You need to get a little closer.
I need to get close. I need to be friends with the microphone. Okay. Sorry, so I was saying I need each month a day that I spend purely... Hey now. A day purely with God, and I go away from all distractions, and I go somewhere that refreshes me. I find God in nature. Not everybody does, but there's a beautiful park not far from here called Porthkerry Park. Some of you might know it. I might have mentioned it before. And every time I say that, I think the next time I go, it's going to be full of people thinking, that park is good. So I'm getting rid of the peace by spreading the word about it, really. But I went there because I was pondering some things. My husband loves to read the news.
Excuse me, miss, I can't hear a word. I hear the word and couldn't hear nothing at all.
Is that any better?
Oh yeah. Bit more.
Did you want me to speak louder, perhaps? Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
I'll try not to move around.
Yeah.
So that
Only because I'm in the orders with these things.
Oh, right, okay.
Okay, that's that.
All right, thank you for letting me know. And if I dip out again, just tell me.
Yeah.
So have you missed everything I've said so far?
Because I'm in the orders.
Have you missed what I've said so far?
She's got trouble with her hearing.
Yeah.
Can you not hear what I'm saying now?
No.
Right. Okay. So what I was saying was that my husband loves to read the news. And he reads it several times a day, and he reads several different sources of news during the day. The trouble I've noticed in the last few years is that my husband has become increasingly negative in his views about things. So I'll say, shall we go on holiday? And he'll say, where? And I'll say, why don't we go to Europe for a short city break? Oh, well, with Brexit, you know, we're not very popular in Europe, and Spain don't like us, and they're going to be kicking us out soon, and Greece don't want us there. And I say, who says this? Well, it's on the news. Right, so have you met any Spanish people who've been unkind to you? No. How do you know that's true? Well, it says in the news. And so what I started with back in February is a little kind of test. I said to him, look, enough with the negativity. We need to be grateful. We have amazing lives. And what we need to do is to be giving thanks. And he said, what do you mean? So every evening, before we go to sleep, we do what we call 3 things. And every night we have to say to each other at least 3 things that we are grateful for, whether it's happened that day or whether it's generally in the life we have together as a family. And he's really taken to this. He likes it. And if he thinks I'm going to bed before him, because I got an early start, he'll come up to me in the kitchen and he'll say, before you go to bed, 3 things. And he'll give me the 3 things. On the odd occasion we forget. When he wakes in the morning, he'll wake me and he'll say, 3 things. And he'll tell me the 3 things. So I was considering this when I was having my quiet time last week. And in that morning before I'd gone, I was actually reading from the Gospel of Mark. And I was in chapter 8. Now I struggle a little bit with Mark because I find it very abrupt and it moves on very quickly. It says something profound, but then it doesn't give you the in-depth story. It's almost like a brief description and then we're on to the next event. But this was the verse that struck me, and it was Mark 8:33. And it says, but when Jesus turned to look at his disciples, he rebuked Peter "Get behind me, Satan," he said. And these are the words that stuck out. "You do not have in mind the concerns of God, but merely human concerns." And that really struck me, and I thought, what are God's concerns? And how are they different to human concerns? I, as a mum and a wife, have concerns. My son, as some of you might know, is a swimmer and trains 9 times a week. He's in the elite squad, and much of our life is governed by that, and he now says he wants to give that up. That's been a very difficult thing for our family. Our whole family is geared towards his swimming career. And for the last 7 years, which has been half of his life, we have spent it with him, encouraging him, supporting him, cheering him at the pool. And suddenly he wants to throw that all away. And I found myself having a few tears recently when not in front of him, but when I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about all of the effort he's put in. I was thinking of the fitness level that he's achieved. I was thinking of the really good friends that he's made while he's there. And I was also grieving a little bit the loss of potential, because all of the coaches said he can get to the Commonwealth when he's older. He could even maybe get to the Olympics. So they saw great potential in him. And suddenly he wants to get rid of all of that. And so that concerned me. And I started to look in my prayer journal at my prayers and what I've been praying for. And it became obvious that most of my prayers were questions to God of a human nature. What is going to happen next, God, in our lives? What are we doing? Should we do this? Can you bless us, Lord? We want to do this. And as I was sat there in Porthkerry Park in the sunshine with my Bible in the cafe, I felt God gave me these words. And I've written them down. "Do not be concerned with that which is temporary, but focus on what is eternal. Start building in preparation for that. Eden is closer than you realise. It's almost in touching distance." And that is giving me goosebumps even now, actually, just to think how we get so caught up in everyday life. And this is where my string comes in. So I'm going to unravel the string. Now this string has an end to it, but what it represents has no end. So we have all of this string, which represents our life. The bit you might be able to see that's in blue, that's our earthly life. And this is our life in eternity. But it never ends. Obviously I couldn't buy a never-ending rope, they don't sell those. But this is our life in eternity. And yet so much of our life here now, we spend worrying about what happens in this small part. We get consumed by it. We get driven by it. Our prayers are governed by it. But if you look into 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 to 11, that's 1 Peter 4, 7 to 11, it says this: "The end of all things is near. Therefore, be clear-minded and self-controlled so that you can pray. Above all, love each other deeply, because love covers a multitude of sins." And we've already heard this afternoon about God's love for us, and that God is wherever love is displayed in human form. "Offer hospitality to one another without grumbling. Each one should use whatever gift he has received to serve others faithfully administering God's grace in its various forms. If anyone speaks, he should do it as one speaking the very words of God. If anyone serves, he should do it with the strength God provides, so that in all things God may be praised through Jesus Christ. To him be the glory and power forever and ever. Amen. So the reason for the flip chart was, I thought it might be useful to demonstrate the worries that we have, or the concerns that we have, that are human concerns, and what are our eternal concerns. So this is where I hope a bit of audience participation will work. Can anybody tell me, and you don't have to think about that just yet, think about something that's concerning you or that's occupying a lot of your headspace at the moment, something you're thinking about quite a lot.
Your children.
Okay, your children. Specifically anything, or just generally about what will become of them, or?
Their marriage.
Okay, okay.